Winter weather all across the country as we move through this week. We've got one storm moving out, another one moving into the west, and it's going to move across the country again. And I'm going to talk in this video why I think this incredibly active weather pattern continues over the next week or so at least. Hey, welcome to the video today. Let's jump straight into it. I want to take a look at what's going on in the upper levels. And this is a bit of a different view. Sometimes I like to look from the North Pole down, but we're looking at the Northern Hemisphere here into North America. Up here's the Arctic. Now we're looking into Canada, the United States down here to the south. And what I think is interesting is this. The polar vortex has been completely disrupted. It's normally up here. What's happening is you've got almost clockwise flow around the pole. And with that said, your polar vortex dropping into Canada, everything here kind of rotating around it. So multiple storms on the way, not just now, but into the weekend. Look at this, another piece of energy rotating around it. And next weekend looks really interesting as this drops down into the Great Lakes region. Storm development likely would be here. Look at that. Negatively tilted trough right along the coast. Do we get something going here early next week? I don't know. And if you don't, check this out. You might see something else happening toward the 19th and the 20th. So really active over the next weeks. That's why these models are showing more chances for snow. Really incredible to see that much activity. Let's walk you through the next 24 hours or so. We're going to continue to watch this storm that's exiting the east do so. A little bit more ice and snow across parts of the DC metro area up through New Jersey through Wednesday morning, and then we start to calm down and the snow breaking out from Kansas up to Iowa, up towards Wisconsin. New winter storm warnings have been posted, not for Chicago. Winter weather advisories. The forecast there now down just a little bit, still 3 to 6 inches of snow. So a significant event here. And then we're going to continue to watch this push off to the east as we move through the day and into Wednesday night. The snow starts to pick up into Michigan as well. Several inches of snow possible here. We're going to go through those numbers. And behind this, really windy conditions pick up, and the lake effect also starts to pick up a little bit downwind of Lake Michigan, also off of Lake Superior. And, you know, the thing is, it's not going to last too long. We'll get rid of the lake effect as high pressure builds in, and some snow also into the northeast. Across the west, our next storm takes shape here. This is going to move east as we head through Saturday. And there's also a severe component to our forecast as we look at it today, not just really heading into Wednesday, which will be across the south. There's an idea that there could be some tornadoes across Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, but also into Saturday. Storm Prediction Center already highlighting this area. A tremendous jet streak moving through on Saturday. Saturday looks really impressive, and it's one of the reasons they're already looking at that time period for some severe weather. And I think it's going to be tornadoes, strong damaging winds, all severe hazards. Let's move a little bit closer in time. This is tomorrow on Wednesday. The idea of tornadoes from East Texas, Louisiana, over into Mississippi, Alabama, even into Georgia as we deal with severe weather across the south on the southern side of this storm. Also, heavy rain too. Now, I know everyone's not getting snow. These are your liquid equivalents. Up in here, it will be snow, but to the south, I mean, look, across Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and I tell you, there's a little bit of concern, especially up here into the southern Appalachians where there is some snow falling, especially up into West Virginia, if we get heavy rain on top of all the snow. Also up into northern Virginia as well. It doesn't take a lot, especially if you have a couple of inches of snow on the ground. Now you get an inch or two of rain, but heavy rain expected across Tennessee and Kentucky. Some of these areas could see more than 5 inches of rain over the next 5-6 days. Let's look at some of the snow totals over the next 24 to 48 hours. This snow down in here falling with our first system that's moving through right now. This would be through tomorrow morning. And then as we watch our next system move in, a couple of inches of snow. The most that I think we're going to see would be across parts of northern Maine where there could be up to 10 inches. This is the official forecast numbers. That's what we're looking at here. Not model data. These are numbers touched by the National Weather Service. They've taken the forecast in Chicago and pulled it down to 4.6. So I think 3 to 6 is where we're going to end up now. Some new data suggesting that it may not be as strong. And then just to the south of that, a little bit of a dry slot moving in, and you're likely going to see some ice. That's the problem along parts of northwest Indiana, also central Illinois. That's never been an issue with the forecast. I think that's always been there. And then into Michigan, a solid 4 to 7 inches, I think. And some areas could see locally 8. Maybe even higher in a few spots if we can get some snow banding going on. And then heavy snow up into Wisconsin. Some areas here could see 6 plus. A little bit further to the west, you can get the idea that heavy snow band still concentrated across the same areas. Multiple winter storm warnings. Head to weather.gov to see if you're under anything right now. But that stretches back across Kansas all the way to Colorado with a good solid 6 inches across Kansas City. And then back into central Kansas, down into Nebraska and Iowa too. Lighter amounts north of that. The further south you go, you're going to run into some freezing rain, sleet, and some ice. Freezing rain also across the east into Virginia. We're seeing that now, but look how this spreads to the northeast and along our system as it moves into the Midwest from the Great Lakes back down into Missouri as we head into Thursday. Really, a lot of this falling, you can see through the day Wednesday and then into Thursday as into the northeast. Timing some of this out, the snow and the rain exiting the mid-Atlantic with decent snow falling through the overnight into the early morning hours of Wednesday, and by the time we get into Wednesday morning, we're still looking at some showery activity here. So there could be some ice, some light freezing rain, especially in the valleys here into Virginia, into the Piedmont as that cold air damming sets up. And then here comes our snow moving in to parts of Iowa, also Illinois, and then into Michigan and southern Wisconsin as we head into the day Wednesday. That snow continues to push to the north and east. On the southern side, again, there could be some ice with heavy rain falling on the southern sector of our storm. Snow starting to break out across southern Ontario. We could see some mix here into parts of New York, down into Pennsylvania, and then the snow starts to let up back to the west. Maybe a little bit of lake effect. You can kind of see that trying to be picked up here on the HRRR, and then warm air surging north out ahead of our low, and that puts the rain all the way up into parts of New York. The extreme northern counties here into New York and to northern New England likely staying all snow. There could be some mix even into the mountains here into Vermont and New Hampshire before everything wraps up. And then we start to see things dry out across the east. Further to the west, snow breaking out across Colorado over the night and then into Kansas and Nebraska with that mix here across North Texas. We're talking about back towards Amarillo. Winter weather advisories out for Tulsa down to Oklahoma City to Amarillo and Lubbock for some of that ice and freezing rain. And then we get to the warnings going here from central Kansas north to Kansas City, Topeka, Lincoln, all the way up into Iowa, and then here into parts of western Illinois. Now into Chicago, again, winter weather advisories, but some heavy snow possible, especially up here towards Milwaukee. And then the advisories continue off to the north and east. It does include Detroit with winter storm watches still in effect here across eastern Michigan. And then you've got all of these slew of advisories, winter storm warnings, flash flood watches, flood warnings across parts of Tennessee as our system that's moving through this region now exits and then pushes out to sea. Now, what happens beyond this? Let's take a look. We'll walk you through what's going on. There's our storm exiting the Great Lakes into Canada. Behind it, some snow showers into the Appalachians, and then we deal with our big storm across the west. That's going to bring a lot of heavy snow, heavy rain into Southern California, windy conditions, and this is going to move east. Low pressure developing on the east side of the mountains. You know, does it wrap up? Does it do anything back here? I don't know. It's really getting stretched out here on the GFS, putting some precipitation into the northeast. It doesn't want to dig it too deep, but either way, I still think you got to watch this heading into Sunday for some severe weather across the south, and on the northern side of that, there could be some heavy snow. It's still too early in the game, I think, to predict exactly where this will go, how strong it will be, but you get the idea. And now we've got this negatively tilted trough with your upper low back here across Canada. So do we get some heavy snow here into the northeast on the backside of this? I think we could. Certainly looking possible. And then cold air pushes down into the east. Across the west, some light snow, and some of the snow could be heavy, I guess, in the mountains, and some cold air builds in. Now we're watching another disturbance slip into the Rockies as we head into Monday and Tuesday, and this will be something to watch. The GFS today, this is kind of what it's doing with it. It brings it up the coast, or it brings it at least close to the coast, and then it wants to develop low pressure right here along the New Jersey shore and then move it out to sea. Today's European was pretty strong on the weekend storm. Again, a lot of severe weather expected if this comes out heading into the weekend across the south. But it was a little bit different heading into next week's storm. It kind of suppresses it, pushes it out to sea, but I still think there's more storms to go. This pattern is just really active looking over the next couple of weeks. I'll be watching it. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe, come back, check the videos out, and thanks for all your support here on the channel. Have a great night, and I'll see you next time.